In what ways was the U.S. responsible for the 9/11 attacks and attacks prior to this? Today, we will be talking about the history between the U.S. and the Middle East from the 1900s through the year 2000. Throughout the years, many presidents have had different approaches towards the Middle East, and this has affected our relationship with these nations. President Truman, who served from 1945 to 1953, angered Stalin by forcing him to remove his troops. Eisenhower, who was in term from 1953 to 1961, ordered the CIA to overthrow the Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh's government as punishment for training the Iranians on the U.S. When Kennedy came into administration, Kennedy's attempt to improve our relationship with Iran was to provide the economic aid they were asking for to prevent a war from occurring, but the Arab leaders were still not pleased. President Johnson angered the Israel leader when he refused to help Israel with military aid they were asking for. Under Nixon's administration, the U.S. helped Egypt, Syria, and Jordan in their attempt to regain land by attacking Israel during Yom Kippur in 1973. The OPEC raised the cost of oil in the U.S. from $3 to $12.
President Carter, who served as president from 1977 to 1981, established the 1978 Camp David Accord peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. And the reason why is because these nations had never had peace before, and this was the only chance to achieve this. Ronald Reagan, under pressure, was forced to trade in weapons for Iran and liberate 7 U.S. Reagan did try to improve our relationship with Lebanon, but it didn't seem to work. When George H.W. Bush came into presidency, he initiated the Operation Restore Hope to help Somalia's people receive food and things they needed for survival, but Bin Laden became angered at the U.S. The U.S. was attacked several times from 1983 to 1993, directly, in which was later identified as attacks coming from Al-Qaeda. First attack was the 1983 explosive attack, in which was a car bomb destroyed the U.S. embassy located in the West Beirut. Later that year in October, a dump truck which exploded crashed through the U.S. Marines barracks. After these attacks, the U.S. Marines abandoned Beirut. Because the U.S. abandoned Beirut, they were seen as weak and looked like an easy target. U.S. failed in their attempt to help Somalia. War. The U.S. defeated by Osama bin Laden, who had ordered this hit towards the U.S. because he didn't want Somalia receiving help.
World Trade Center bombing of 1993. The World Trade Center had already experienced an attack before the 9/11 attack, but it had not been as devastating and harmful as was the 9/11 attack. What was the Somalia attack? The Somalia attack was the first attack with direct intention coming from Al-Qaeda. Why did it happen? The U.S. was helping Somalia with resources and with easier access with their trades. Bin Laden, who was a little-known terrorist around this time, had in mind that the U.S. was a weak country because of how they were treated after the Somalia attack. Osama had in mind that the U.S. was incapable of recovering from a mass attack.
Who were the ones in charge of executing the attacks? The key leader was Osama bin Laden, and the training was provided by Al-Qaeda in order to have a successful outcome. How much preparation did it take? A few weeks before, the leaders of the operation had taken commercial flight classes and were communicating with each other via email and in secret code, pretending to be a couple. These conversations were always between Atta and Ben al-Shibh, and the day they felt ready to determined to execute the attack, Atta called Ben al-Shibh and told him their plan in a riddle form, which said 2 sticks, a dash, and a cake with the stick down. What is it? The riddle indicated the date and location of their attack. The day of the attack, the 19 hijackers boarded 4 different commercial flights, and once in the air took control with weapons. They had managed to sneak onto the plane. The first 3 crashes were successful, but the last one crashed into a countryside in Pennsylvania after the passengers alerted the authorities of what was going on.
A lot of destruction resulted because of this attack, and the US was then determined to find and charge Osama bin Laden and those part of Al-Qaeda because of what they had done. One of the survivors shared how the attacks were so far apart in minutes, but there was no time to really do anything to save themselves. Brian Clark, a survivor who was working on the 84th floor, managed to go down a few floors and help another man who was on the 81st floor, and both made it out of the building, which was just seconds away from collapsing. We thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed this video.